It's one of the most popular and famous films of all time. And normally on this podcast, I'm looking for the more unusual titles, but when a film is this brilliant, I just can't resist. So today is Pat's Film Club Pick of the Day. It's Francis Ford Coppola's The Godfather. Hi, my name is Pat Kelman. I'm a film distributor from Cornwall, and I set up Pat's Film Club about 2 years ago now with the idea of getting people back into the cinemas and making going to the cinema an event again. But of course, we can't all get to the cinema every day, so this podcast is dedicated to finding a film a day. I go through the listings and see what I can find on free-to-air channels, and I just want to recommend one film a day that I know is an absolute banger that I know you'll love. And today's pick is on Film 4 at 9 o'clock, and it is Francis Ford Coppola's legendary The Godfather. It almost needs no introduction, but The Godfather is an epic crime drama that tells the story of the powerful Corleone mafia family. Headed by patriarch Vito Corleone, played by Marlon Brando, the film follows the transformation of his youngest son Michael, portrayed by Al Pacino, from a reluctant outsider to a ruthless mafia boss. Spanning 10 years from 1945 to 55, the film delves into the intricate and often violent world of organised crime. So why watch it? Well, so many people have sung the praises of this film for such a long time that it's really difficult for me to kind of come up with something new and original. All I can say is that I think it's one of the most extraordinary films ever made. It's a brilliant fusion of kind of modern sensibilities and techniques with classical Hollywood storytelling. And Coppola's direction and screenplay are absolutely brilliant. He took this kind of pot boiler novel and made it into this extraordinary 3-hour family epic that's delicate, detailed, it's beautifully nuanced, and all his directing decisions are on the money. The camera work, the positioning of the camera, the who we're going to focus on at any particular moment. It's subtle, it's engaging, and it's just brilliant storytelling. And of course, Coppola's skill is matched by world-class performances on every level. Everybody kind of knew how good Brando was at the time, I believe, but he's a revelation in this part. He went through a kind of period, and I kind of touched on it the other day when I talked about Mutiny on the Bounty. He went through a period where he'd kind of started this bad boy reputation of being difficult on set. And apparently it was quite tricky to get him to take the role of Vito Corleone in the first place. And he comes in and just delivers a really delicate, quiet, reserved, subtle performance where he's literally just like drawing you in by how little he's doing as opposed to how much he's doing. And it's a really great example of show, don't tell. And that is then reflected in the amazing performances by people who are fairly unknown at the time. I mean, you know, Pacino had got a bit of a reputation from Panic in Needle Park in his earlier films, but no one, I think, was quite ready for how brilliant he is as Michael. That journey from fairly straight, not wanting to be part of the family business, right the way through to becoming a gangland kingpin is an extraordinary journey. And that's really, for me, what the film is about. It's about Michael's journey. It might be called The Godfather, and you might think that refers to Brando's performance. But actually, for me, The Godfather is all about how Michael Corleone becomes the Godfather over 3 hours. And the film also has some of these amazing character performances from up-and-coming young stars. So you've got Robert Duvall as Tom Hagen, the consigliere. You've got James Caan as Sonny. You've got Diane Keaton as Kay. And the much missed John Cazale as Fredo, who only made 5 films before he died, and every single one was a banger. And everybody kind of talks about what might have happened if he'd lived, but he's left an extraordinary body of work. The film's brilliance is reflected in a near perfect Rotten Tomatoes score and the same on Metacritic. And it won 3 Academy Awards: Best Film, Best Actor for Marlon Brando, which of course became a legendary moment when Brando didn't turn up to accept the award and sent Sachin Littlefeather instead to make a protest about the treatment of Native Americans. And it also won Best Screenplay for Mario Puzo and Francis Ford Coppola. And it's a brilliant job of adaptation. I mean, I've read the novel a couple of times, and yes, it's a potboiler, it's well worth reading, but something that Coppola did in the adaptation kind of elevated it into something else, elevated it into poetry and mastery. It's also been recognised as being culturally significant by being included in the National Preservation Archive for posterity. I first saw The Godfather when I was at school. I'd managed to get hold of a video recorder, a VHS recorder, and recorded it when it was shown on the TV. And that 3-hour VHS tape became one of my constant companions for like the next 2 or 3 years. I watched the film weekly over that 2 or 3 years. And I think there's just something about being told a really brilliant story in a really brilliant way that I just found irresistible. And I always find the journey of Michael from innocence to experience, or rather from experience of being in the military and having a life where he doesn't want to be part of the family business, through to ultimately taking it over. I find that journey really powerful, and his performance, I think, is one of the most extraordinary things in cinema history. I totally appreciate why Brando won the Oscar. He was the star, his name was above the title, but if there's a performance in The Godfather that really resonates with me and really hits me deeply, it's Pacino. And of course, we all now know of the Pacino of the hurrah and all that stuff, but he was so extraordinarily subtle in The Godfather. I would always recommend that people watch the scene in the restaurant. So much is said with nothing being said. And, you know, it's a wonderfully internal performance. I know you're sitting there thinking, hang on, Pat, we all know The Godfather's great. Why recommend it? It's a bit of an obvious choice. And you're quite right. What I want to do with this podcast is to find something unusual every day if I can, to really elevate the films that you may or may not have heard of. But when you've got an opportunity to talk about The Godfather, I'm going to take it. Though it must be said that I'm only ever going to recommend a film once in the series. So if The Godfather comes up again, and of course it will, it's always on rotation on Film 4, then I'm not going to recommend it again. I might mention it in passing, but I'm never going to do a detailed episode like this again on The Godfather. Thank you ever so much for being with me today. And The Godfather is playing on Film 4 tonight, the 24th of July at 9 p.m. I highly recommend it. And of course, it's going to be on catch up on Film 4 on demand. So you're going to be able to watch it pretty much whenever you want. If you've liked the episode, then please press the subscribe button so you'll hear some more. You can also follow me at Pat's Film Club on socials. We're on X, Facebook, Instagram and TikTok. And also you can go to the Pat's Film Club website where you can subscribe to our mailing list and hear news about any new events that are coming up. I've got a load of screenings of The Hills Have Eyes coming up in August all around the Southwest. And hopefully you'll join me for some of those. And if you're on the mailing list, you'll hear all about them. Thank you for joining me, and I look forward to speaking to you again tomorrow when I come back with another recommendation for Pat's Film of the Day. Thanks very much. See you tomorrow. Thanks so much for listening. Our theme tune today was composed by Modern Music, licensed via pixabay.com.